Hi children, welcome back to our high school. Again, I am back with a new lesson. Had you revised our previous class, that is the mechanism of photosynthesis? Had you go through your textbook? Have you read that one? If not, do that one. Daily, whatever the lesson we have taught in our class, once after the session, once go through your textbook, once refer the lesson from the textbook, what are the things you have learned from the class and all those things. You please do it regularly, then only you will able to understand the lessons very well. Once again, as usually, we can recall our previous class. So what is our previous class? That is mechanism of photosynthesis. Mechanism of photosynthesis takes place through two phases. The first phase is light dependent reaction or photochemical reaction. This complete mechanism of photosynthesis takes place within the structure of chloroplast. Inside the chloroplast, several stacks of sacs. What are those? That is thylakoids. So several thylakoids together forms the bundle of thylakoids together forms granum. So inside the granum, this complete light reaction takes place, and in this process water molecule splits into oxygen. At the end of this phase, final end products are, or the assimilatory powers are, oxygen, ATP and NADPH. That is a light dependent reaction. And light dependent reaction, that is a biosynthetic phase or dark reaction. So as the name indicates that it doesn't mean that it will happen in dark. That means this phase need not light. It will happen in the presence of light or in the absence of light. So at the end of this phase, the final end product is glucose. Finally, it converts into starch. So this complete reaction takes place within the chloroplast in the colorless matter of stroma. So this phase has several intermediate compounds and all those things. It's a brief recall about our previous class. So till now we have studied about autotrophic nutrition. In the very first class, we have studied that two kinds of modes of nutrition, that is autotrophic nutrition, heterotrophic nutrition. So till now, that means up to the photosynthesis, we have studied about autotrophic nutrition. So what about the next one, that is heterotrophic nutrition. So why late? Today's topic is heterotrophic nutrition. So all of you know that heterotrophic nutrition, that means who perform heterotrophic nutrition is known as heterotrophs. What are heterotrophs? Which cannot prepare their own food, which can depend on others for its food needs. That is heterotrophs. That means almost all the animals are heterotrophs, because either directly or indirectly they are depending on plants for its food needs, food requirements. So today's topic is heterotrophic nutrition. Heterotrophs are mainly three types: saprophytes, parasites and halozoic. So heterotrophs are mainly three types. Those are saprophytes, parasites and halozoic. They depend on others for their food needs. So the dependency is depending upon the food what they need. So depending upon the type and the availability of food, based on this, animals can assort various strategies to find out their needs. So depending on the type of food and depending upon the strategies they follow to acquire food is based on the structure of the body. If the structure of the body is simple, the mode of acquiring of food is different and the digestion of food is different. If the body structure is difficult or typical, the mode of acquiring and the type of food and the type of digestion, these are all will in some other ways. So based on that one, the complete heterotrophic nutrition is mainly three types, or the type of organisms are also three types, that is saprophytes. These saprophytic organisms, see, before entering into the body, they release some kind of enzymes on the food, and they break down the complex molecules of food and makes into simpler. Then only the organisms are able to ingest the food. That means generally what animals do, generally whatever the food is there, they take the food and they chew the food, they bite the food, they chew the food and enter into the body and the food digest. But their body is very complex in structure. But not all the organisms body structure will be like that. Each and every organism is different from the others. So the mode of acquiring is also different. So here, what kind of mode they'll perform before entering into its body? These saprophytic organisms, they release some kind of enzymes on the food, and these enzymes break down the complex molecules present in the food and makes into simpler one. So the simplest form of food is obtained by these saprophytes. For example, bread mold means you have, all of you have an idea. That means if you do not store the bread properly, some kind of whitish hair-like hyphae structures will be present on the surface of the bread. Such kind of hairy white hyphae-like structures, we can call it as a bread molds. Everybody knows that one. If you do not store pickles properly, or if you touch the pickle with wet hands, immediately white hairy hyphae-like structures will grow on the surface of the pickles, even vegetables. So these are all the molds. That means which are related to fungi family, which are related to fungi. So bread molds. And next one is mushrooms. So mushrooms in rainy season, you are able to see these kind of mushrooms which will grow on walls or wet wooden structures, or maybe some kind of mushrooms are also available in the market for our food purpose. So there are several kinds of mushrooms are all there. So mushrooms, and next some other yeast. So these are all, in fact, to say in a single word, all the fungi related to saprophytes. So all the fungi, they perform saprophytic nutrition. That means by releasing some kind of chemicals or the enzymes onto the food, it breaks down the complex molecules to simple one and can be easily digested. So this is saprophytic nutrition or perform saprophytes. Next one is parasites. That means these organisms, they obtain nutrients from the other animals without killing them. For example, if mosquito bites us, what will happen? Why mosquito bites us? It sucks the blood from our body. So blood is its food. So here these mosquitoes obtain blood from our body without killing us. So like that, for example, leeches, they suck the blood from the animals without killing the animal. So they obtain nutrients from the other animal's body without killing them. Of course, there may be a little bit damage to that particular tissue or maybe cell. So here parasites example, leeches, and some kind of plants are also perform these kind of nutrition. That means some kind of plants are also like parasites, that is cuscuta. We will learn about cuscuta in further. Okay, and the next one is halozoic. These animals, they take the complex molecules of food directly into the body, and after entering into the body, they are able to digest within the body. That means the food will digest within the body. But in saprophytism, foods are simplified outside the body. These simplified molecules will enter into the organism's body. If you see that parasitism, without killing the animal, they obtain food. But in halozoic, these animals, they take solid type of food. That means a little bit in a complex form. This complex form of food will be digested within the body with the help of some kind of enzymes, some kind of chemical substances which are secreted into the body. For example, from a small single cellular organism, that is amoeba, to a huge multicellular organism just like us. Since the food is different and the way it is obtained is different, the digestive system also is different in various organisms. That means the structure of the body determines by the food what they obtain from the environment. That means the type of food and the availability of food. These two factors decides the structure of the body and the structure of the digestive system within the body. So if the body is very simpler, the digestion process is also simpler. If the body is very complex, and the digestion process is also very complex. So according to that, the organ systems also framed in our body. So let us see how digestion takes place in amoeba. That means in a halozoic nutrition, I told you know, from a small single cellular organism to a huge multicellular organism. So that is small single cellular organisms. That is the best example for that one is amoeba. Amoeba, how it obtains food, let us see once. See this picture, nutrition in amoeba. How amoeba takes food from its body. See, generally amoeba, a single cellular organism which has no shape. Then how it will take food? It's a very simple mode of nutrition. Simply it will extend its body towards the food. Extension means amoeba will extend its body. That means by extension some kind of finger like projections will arise from its body. Those are pseudopodia. So by extending pseudopodia towards the food, it covers the food. That means it fuses over the food. So after that, food enter into food vacuole. So inside the food vacuole, the food will digest. Again, through the body surface, it sends out. That means once see here, see amoeba, this is a food particle. So by extending its finger-like projections, those are pseudopodia. See here, this pseudopodia covers this, slowly touches the food and slowly fuses over the food. And finally, food enter into the body. And finally, later on, food enters into food vacuole. Food enters into food vacuole. And after that, food dissolves in the cytoplasm of amoeba. It's a very simple mode of nutrition. Why? Because animal is single cellular organism and very simple. So digestion is also very simpler form. That means simply by extending its body surface over the food particle. Simply the food particle enter into the food vacuole, and after that food particle dissolves within the cytoplasm. And if any waste materials produced in that process, simply they will send out to the body surface, and later on through the body surface, through the diffusion process, the waste material enters into its environment. Next, another single cellular organism, that is Paramecium. Paramecium, it has a particular body shape, just like a slipper. So it has a definite shape, and it is also a single cellular organism. It has a little bit developed body structure than the amoeba. So in that one, it has a separate place for food digestion. So food is moved to that separate place, that means a specific spot, with the help of cilia which is surrounded the body. That means you know that the Paramecium food enter into the body. How? With the help of cilia. These are all cilia, a small hair-like projections which covers the entire body of Paramecium. The food particle enter into this specific spot. So inside that part, some chemicals release. These chemicals helps to break down the complex food molecule into simpler one, and later on the food digested into cytosome. Later the food is ingested into cytosome. That's it. This is also a single cellular organism, but which has a particular body shape and more structures than amoeba. So this is also a simplest form of nutrition. But when compared to amoeba, of course, little bit. See, in amoeba, after the food is digested inside the cytoplasm. But here, cytosome. That means there are little bit specific parts are there, even though both are single cellular organisms. Then what about the multicellular organisms? So depending upon the type of food, depending upon the mode of acquiring, the body structures also decides the modes of nutrition. So I told you before, Cuscuta, where here Cuscuta is a plant. Till now we have discussed that plants are autotrophs. They can prepare their own food. Then why this Cuscuta comes under parasitic nutrition? So let us see the parasitic nutrition in Cuscuta, how it performs. Let us see. Cuscuta, its common name is dodder. Its common name is dodder. It is leafless twining parasitic plant. It is a leafless twining parasitic plant. That means it has no leaves. Its common name is dodder. It belongs to Cuscuta genus. It belongs to Cuscuta genus from morning glory family. That is Convolvulaceae family. Convolvulaceae family. So, Cuscuta's common name is dodder, which belongs to Cuscuta genus. That means Cuscuta genus belongs to morning glory family. That morning glory family scientific name is, it's a Convolvulaceae. Convolvulaceae. There are 170 species. There are 170 species which spreads all over the tropical regions. All over the tropical regions. It is a leafless, twining and parasitic plant. Why it became as a parasitic plant? Generally plants prepare their own food. No, why it became as a leafless, why it became as a parasitic plant? That means this Cuscuta or this dodder contains very less amount of chlorophyll. Very less amount of chlorophyll. This is the main reason why it became as a parasite. Why it became as a parasite, which contains a less amount of chlorophyll. Less amount of chlorophyll. So because of this reason, it becomes as a parasite. The dodder seed germinates and produces an anchor root-like structure, a slender stem that entwine to the host plant. That means just initially it starts its life from a small root-like structure, a small root anchor-like structure. So while it entwining produces some root-like structures called hostoria. Hostoria. These are the root-like structures which can reaches to the host plant by penetrating into the plant body. So with the help of this hostoria. So these hostoria helpful to the dodder to absorb nutrients. That means to absorb water from the xylem of the plant, nutrients from the phloem of the plant. After growing in a few spirals around the host plant, after growing in a few spirals around the host shoot, the dodder finds its way to the another and it continues to twine. So like that, one plant to another, one plant to another, like that, it covers a huge, a large area of the plants. So by inserting its host area into the host stem, it can absorb nutrients from the host plant. So the reason for all this is this dodder contains less amount of chlorophyll. That's why it became as a parasite. And the next one is multicellular organism. In this area, in our textbook, they have given human digestive system. As we are also multicellular organisms, that's why we are going to learn about human digestive system. Let us enter into the topic.